Hi there, Steve Kaufman here. Today I want to talk about something important, maybe more important than language learning, and it's learning. Learning throughout our lives. Learning as adults, learning as people who are growing older, learning as a major driver of health, of happiness, of success. And the reason I'm talking about that is I just finished listening to an audiobook in German by my favorite German neuroscientist, Manfred Spitzer, where he speaks with another gentleman whose name was Norbert Heschkowitz, and they talk about wie Erwachsene denken und lernen, how adults think and learn. And there are 3 books, and the last one in particular, Lebenslanges Lernen, living throughout your life, 60 years plus, wie Erwachsene denken, like how old people think. And there's a lot of very interesting information there. I'll leave a link to the book if you want to find it, if you understand German. But it got me to thinking about this whole issue of learning. In fact, I focus my discussions here on language learning and my interest in language learning and tips that I have based on my experience. But, I realize that learning is a huge issue in our lives today. Governments spend a fortune on education and health. Those 2 items typically account for 20% of GDP in most developed countries. Learning, though, is something that depends on the individual, not on how much money the government or other people spend. I should add in terms of this whole learning thing, when I see the amount of student debt that people accumulate, especially in the United States, it kind of puts them at a great disadvantage, although statistically they'll end up earning more and probably have other benefits. So learning is a major issue, and never before has it been so easy to learn things. I mean, people have always learned. They've learned by watching people do things. They've learned by trial and error, doing things themselves. But reading and listening, like the audiobook that I just mentioned, is a very quick and easy way of acquiring knowledge. And whenever we're acquiring knowledge, our brains are changing and growing and remaining young. And so it's important to take advantage of these things. The ability to take advantage of these things relies on our curiosity. Again, Manfred Spitzer, in his audiobook, he references Einstein, who said, "I have no more talent than anyone else. It's just that I am passionately curious." So curiosity is the driver. Curiosity is why I have so many books behind me. This is only one of 7 big bookshelves that I have in my house. I'm interested in things, and it's important to remain interested in things. Sometimes when people talk about learning, they overly complicate things. So I did some research using Google, and I just punched in there how old people think and learn, learning and aging, and so forth. And a lot of the sort of advice that's given is, overcomplicating. Like older people, they prefer repetition. Well, repetition has its place in education, whether you're old or young. Older people are more self-directed, says one. I don't see that necessarily as being the case. Again, it's not clear who they mean by older. There's reference to the number of neurons we lose. Obviously, there's a sort of an evolution in our brains. But as Spitzer points out, we have so many neurons that we can afford to lose quite a lot of them. We do lose some over time. It doesn't really affect anything. Perhaps we have, weaker memories at a certain point. But the point is, if you continue learning, you will strengthen all of those cognitive functions. But here again, one of these articles that I came up with, I might leave these, if you're interested, I can leave some links to them, sort of applies that, a college education is very important to your mental health as you grow older. Implication being that someone who has had a college education has learned so many things, perhaps they're more curious about things, they will continue learning. They've got a base that's going to help them. But nothing prevents a person who doesn't have a college education from being equally curious and, reading and listening and keeping their brains stimulated. Spitzer also makes the point that it's not just a matter of keeping your brain active like doing Sudoku, because Sudoku is not bringing anything new in. And it's very important, I've seen this elsewhere, that you bring in things that are new. You discover new things that change you in a way. And that by, processing this new information, then you are maintaining the youth and the activity of your brain, which is very important. Of course, other things, being active is very good for your brain. Jogging is good for your brain. So many things are good for your brain, but I don't know that we need to think of it always in terms of doing it because it's good for our brains. If we are genuinely curious, then we derive tremendous satisfaction from learning about other places. Travel is a form of learning about other places. Learning languages, of course, which is what I'm doing now, learning Polish because I'm going to Poland. I mean, I did have some previous exposure to Polish. So it's this curiosity rather than how many years we've spent at school. And also, again, in some of these articles I found, there was a great reliance on these theories of different kinds of learners, that older people might be more visual learners or might be more kinetic learners. And of course, that whole theory of different types of learners has largely been debunked. And I think we're guided more by our curiosity. Some people don't like to read, which is fine, but the way the brain learns is essentially the same with all people. And that's more or less become accepted as the fact. And these efforts by educators to categorize people as this kind of learner or that kind of learner, or if you're a young learner, then it's this way, and if you're an older learner, it's some other way. I'm not impressed with those. I think I prefer the simple position that I may have lost some neurons, but as long as I'm curious, if I keep discovering new things, learning new things, reading books, learning languages, it's going to keep my brain as young as it can be, given the fact that I'm 77 years old. So there you have it. I just wanted to sort of broaden, because I always talk about language learning, but actually I'm interested in education as a whole. I read quite a bit on the subject, and I think it's a vital part of being, fully engaged as human beings at whatever age. So there you have it. Just a little bit of a digression from language learning. I hope you found that interesting. I look forward to your comments. Bye for now.